Well, good morning, everyone. We'll start off with the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Eric, would you?
Father, thank you for the opportunity again to be here today to do the work of the county. Pray you would bless the commissioners for their efforts to lead the county and give them wisdom as they make decisions that the county could have. We have to watch over our employees and protect them for your blessing. God, yeah, pray Jesus.
If any of me over here for a reason,
What's that?
was I over here for a
Oh,
reason?
yeah. Come on over. I'll share it with you. Hey, good morning, everyone. I've reviewed the minutes from last week and make a motion we approve them.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. We have one abatement, and it's with Beechner's Grain for $123. Oh, no, 22,000. Where's the end of this at? $2,034.32. And Gary, I want you to, because it was a business, I want you to explain that.
Well, there was a dispute on their appraisal. Of course, their appraisal is based on lots of things, but there was some legitimate dispute on some of it. They paid their taxes based on the appraisal before the dispute was settled. And so once it was settled, it reduced their taxes a little bit. And that is the refund for the part that they had already paid. So I think they did basically have a settlement that's going to last 2 or 3 years, which we always try to do, so we don't have to do it every year.
Okay. I'll make a motion we approve this abatement, and the abatement number is 2020-196.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have the park report. Receipts for the month of April is $21,492.23. Expenditures was $31,443.63. Year-to-date, receipts $60,885.61. Expenditures $99,419.35. And then we'll pay the bills in the amount of $1,337,235.93. That's my motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Then does
That include the 1 million?
that include the pay app, number 8 from,
Yeah, number 8, which
you
was,
want to look at the supporting documents on that?
and that was the application for payment for, to, River City for, our building here, the Justice Center. It was a payment of $1,025,964.52. And he's gonna send you,
Here's all breakdown, the amounts, if that makes it easier.
all right.
We usually do a separate motion on that, just once you had a chance to look at it.
Okay, we will. Want to come on up and give us a brief on the River City?
Sure. We recently did a schedule update.
The most recent schedule update I just handed out. I know last month, we were 25 days behind schedule. That was 99% related to just weather.
Right.
This most recent schedule update, we started the process. It went from minus 25 to minus 35. We did some schedule logic and looked at some things and reevaluated some things and got it down to minus 32. We did some more evaluating. We got it down to back to minus 25. Further digging into it, we got it down to minus 5. So we've recouped. No voodoo magic with it, some legitimate schedule logic changes, primarily once we get into the metal stud framing, pulling a wire and stuff like that later on down the road. So right now, we've got our schedule a little more manageable, and we're sleeping better at night on that. I know we had a meeting last week with our mason who had started out here, and our steel fabricator and steel erector. We've come up with some game plans there to maybe even better our schedule some more. So we will wait to see how that shakes out. I know we got weather this week. We are working today. Hopefully we get today in because the next couple of days does not look good. We're doing work out here, but no, we're making progress. Slab on grade, our first slab on grade pour happened a couple weeks back. I understand you guys toured the site, I think last Monday. Mason has started. We were planning a slab on grade pour in the kitchen area tomorrow. I doubt that happens now. Possibly later this week, but I think we got a good plan reflected in the schedule. Need weather to cooperate, and we're making okay progress. I'll call it. So,
And materials are still coming in the way you wanted them to, or
yeah. We are working through something with our electrician right now. We were notified last week via email from the president of Apple Electric, some cost escalation, material escalation issues, but with no description or detail. So his name is Greg Yos. I talked to Greg. I was like, before we even begin having any type of conversation, you need to provide some dollar amounts, description, backup, invoices. So I can't really expound upon what impact they're talking about because he's working up his backup. But so that's really all I know on that, man.
Okay.
But other than that, everything, all the steel was purchased early. Steel is very volatile, and pricing changes. Obviously, we all know about lumber, but this electrical cost escalation is the first issue I've heard about material escalations on this project. So
Sure.
again, I don't know enough to talk any more about it.
That's separate from the other electrical change order.
Yes.
And we're meeting with the architects, the electrical engineers. I suppose you guys will be at that meeting.
If I've not heard about it yet, but I talked to Kevin Ross, the main architect I think it was last Thursday afternoon. And I told him that this might be a topic at this upcoming commissioners meeting.
We're going to do it next Monday at
Next
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock here. Okay. All right. I can be there. So,
you guys got anything?
I don't know.
Thank you, sir.
yep. Thank you.
While he's still here, so we do have a small change order. This is change order number 6 that you probably would feel comfortable approving. Did everybody get a chance to look at that pay?
What was read that amount again, Cindy, so I can make a motion. We've already done it backwards, but
$1,025,964.52.
that's my motion to approve that for the Justice Center payment.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye.
And then this is a kind of miscellaneous change order with several little things on it. change order, 5.
The smaller one was 6.
Six.
Yeah.
Was there anything you should tell them about that?
Wasn't a whole, I'm going off memory what that was. That was the knockdown frames, or the welded frames in lieu of the knockdown frames.
Just some little changes to make it more efficient. I think there was a small, $750 wiring change or something.
Yeah, they
Plumbing
we
change?
had to install a metal drywall sheetrock chase
Yeah.
due to plumbing conflicts with the foundations. But that knockdown versus welded frames, the specs allowed when the government center was still in play on this job. There wasn't a government center spec and a justice center spec. It was all one set of specifications. There's 2 separate plan documents, but the specs allowed knockdown frames. And well, the knockdown frames are cheaper and less quality than a welded frame. But they included knockdown frames on this justice center because it didn't delineate between government center versus justice center. So
So whose fault was that?
Oh, that's just, I said that's just small. They could still, you could still do the knockdown frame.
oh yeah, it
Take a look at that.
It's just a matter that the welded frame is the problem with that, so.
it was direction from the architect to make this change.
What was the total on that change order? I can't remember.
It's 5,000 something, I think.
But that's about contingency, not the.
I don't see the 5,000. Okay, total for above items.
When do we have to get those orders?
As soon as possible. They're only in the metal stud drywall areas. All the frames that are in our block areas, they're ordered
If
and
they want to study on this till next week, or we'll be okay.
that's fine.
No, I don't know. We need to study or not.
I mean, I understand there's gonna be small stuff, but I don't have an issue with approving it. You said it's only for the drywall part, right?
Yeah.
It's for
He-
5489.79. Is that the total?
That's the total.
Due to the government center having a lot of existing walls, if you know what a knockdown frame is, it comes in 3 pieces.
Yeah.
And you can put it on an existing wall, screw them together at the bottoms and the tops, and instead of having to reframe the opening, you can use the opening. They were meant for the government center.
Is there a long lead time on those?
It's generally 6 to 8 weeks, something like
Do you
that.
know who you guys use on that?
High Tech Interiors. Well, I'm sorry, Combs Construction they're setting the frames.
Oh, okay.
And the doors and hardware.
Just gonna make a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the change orders number 6 for the amount of 5,000.
5489.79.
Motion.
I'll second it. Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We gotta sign it somewhere?
Yeah, around the front there, down towards the left-hand corner. It says owner, usually write your name in there, but I forgot to. So you know what it is.
Here.
Do I get to vote? I vote no.
That comes out,
Hey, hold on. We got 2 yeses and 1 no.
that comes out contingency, and that leaves our contingency.
Understand.
At 349,103.
Picking away at that, aren't they?
Picking away.
We're good, Warren. You got anything else?
Nope.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
You want to take this now? I'll make copies for you.
That's the way I feel too.
Just email to me.
For 5,000.
Thanks.
For 5,000, okay. Well, so you're talking about 15, 20,000. I'm not.
We'll get there.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's like money I want. Money I want.
It'll get there.
Good morning, gentlemen. Kevin Fran, Linn County Sheriff. As far as our numbers go, we have 25 total prisoners. 19 of those are in, 6 of them are farmed out. We had 130 911 calls, so that was down substantially from last week, but we still maintained 298 calls for services. As Still got quite a few papers being served for the courts, which is good because that means things are opening up maybe a little
Is the courts open now? I mean, are they,
periodically.
Periodically.
They're getting some in-person court. They're still doing a lot of other types of court, though. I mean, as far as Zoom and
Right.
stuff like that, those platforms. So, but we are seeing some open back up, and we're getting on subpoenas and lawsuits and stuff that are being filed that we're serving. So that was pretty much it for our numbers. We did have kind of an interesting statistic this last week where we only had 7 new cases opened. We usually run 15 to 20 there with 13 case closures. That's being finalized by our office and sent on for prosecution or simply closed. So that was really a good statistic for us this week to kind of clean up some of that stuff. So that's all I've got. If you gentlemen have any questions,
I don't.
thank you
thank
much.
you. AMR?
Good morning. My name is Galen Anderson, Operations Manager for AMR. I'm going to hand out last month's monthly report and review that. So this was the report for the month of April. I had it last week, but I totally forgot to pull it out of my bag when I came in. So you can see total transports we had was 60 for the month, and 2 out of Blue Mound, 3 out of Centerville, 17 out of Lacine, 3 out of Linn Valley, 12 out of Mound City, 18 out of Pleasanton, 4 out of Prescott. And then down in our breakdown of response times per districts, in District 1, we had total transports of 23 with an average response time of 9 minutes and 4 seconds. In District 2, 25 transports and response time of 11 minutes and 17 seconds. In District 3, 12 transports with a response time of 17 minutes and 26 seconds, for a total in the county average response time for the month of April of 11 minutes and 51 seconds. Further on down, you can see out of the 1,440 ambulance unit hours that we were scheduled to have on, we had 1,437, so 99.8% staffed. And then we just had 2 flights out by helicopter, and they were both for patients suffering strokes. Any questions on that data?
No.
All right. I have an update on the SUV. It's a little bit of a painful update, but got more details last week from Fleet that I wasn't really familiar with this chip shortage. You all might be. And that's impacting the SUV. So the SUV was halted in production because of the chip shortage. And it sounds like Ford stopped production at some point because basically they have a whole bunch of lots filled up with manufactured vehicles that don't have chips, and they kind of hit capacity of how many they wanted to keep building. So I'll be getting updates about that, but basically it'll probably throw a month or 6 weeks of a delay in it. And so I was under the impression that it was somewhere between Ford and then the third party shop that does all the decals and lights and sirens and turns it into a response vehicle. But turns out it actually was halted in production at Ford because of the computer
You might as well
shortage.
figure on January, from what I'm hearing,
Or
Really?
later even.
or later, yeah.
So that's disappointing.
We still have adequate service, so.
Yep, it won't change response times, capability, anything like that. Really the things, it's the one-off situations that it'll be a huge advantage of getting into the communities, like communities where, have unmaintained roads and
Is that the Ford Transit
that we're using now.
that you're getting?
What we're getting is a Expedition.
Expedition, oh.
Yep, yep. So the vehicle that we're waiting on, it's delayed. It's an Expedition with 4-wheel drive. And
Right.
so definitely still looking forward to that, and a little disappointed with the delay, but not really anything that we can work around to expedite. So
Right.
I'll keep you updated. And then this week is EMS week, the annual week to recognize ambulance personnel and pre-hospital healthcare workers. And so I'll be doing some things with our ambulance crew to recognize them. And if anybody has an opportunity to reach out or do anything to celebrate our ambulance crews, they'll appreciate it. When they transport up, the hospitals are really good about providing meals and gifts and prizes and things like raffles and things like that during this week. So it'll be a festive week for us. We'll be fully staffed here in 2 weeks. The open full-time medic position is being filled the end of this month with a well-tenured paramedic from the Kansas City Metro operation that's going to transfer down here and fill that position. It hasn't impacted staffing, just impacted our overtime wage costs. And then we're also interviewing a part-time paramedic that to hopefully bring on to increase our part-time staffing pool. And we interviewed and are moving forward with a part-time EMT who actually lives in Lacine that my supervisors interviewed last week. So continuing to grow our part-time staffing as we're able. And so far at this point in the month, we're at 20 transports for the month and 12 in the last 7 days. A little bit on the slow side, but there's always a up and down ebb and flow in volume. Any questions for me?
Nope, thank you.
Have a good week.
Tisha?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Tisha Coleman, Linn County Health Department. We'll talk about COVID. The quarantine travel recommendations have been changed from Kansas Department of Health and Environment last May 10th, adding several counties from Colorado, and then there's states that are on there as well. I'll just mention the states: Minnesota, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Michigan, Rhode Island, New Jersey, and New York. And those are, self-quarantine recommendations that if they've traveled to those places, that the recommendation would be to quarantine. Fully vaccinated, CDC came out last week, fully vaccinated individuals do not need to wear masks in or outside or social distance, hence no mask today. Case update is 836 total cases, 11 active, 12, that's 2 hospitalized, 12 deaths and 0 clusters. Total tested for testing through our health department is at 102. Did talk to Dr. Stewart a week and a half ago, and we are currently with our numbers, since they're kind of staying down, she said that we could go, her recommendation was that we go to the test out of quarantine option where you don't have to stay in the full 10 days. If you test after day 5, so on day 6, between day 6 and day 7, you can test and get out on day 7 at midnight if you're negative. So it shortens that quarantine period. And so we've been doing that for some of the people. Some will go for testing, some don't. It's their choice. Pandemic vaccinations given: 2,495 Modernas, 107 Johnson & Johnson. They had paused the Johnson & Johnson. That's now not paused. And we've not had much of an interest for that as of this point, but we are able to give it. So 1,260 prime doses, 1,235 boost given, and again, the J&J is 107. Last week, we gave 22 doses of COVID vaccine. Pfizer, which we do not have, we can get, but the the CDC has lowered the EUA, emergency use authorization, to 12 and older. And so we currently have a survey that I sent out to the schools to send to their parents, and on our website and Facebook page, trying to gauge an interest for parents if they are interested in receiving it, because then we can look at getting it if people are interested. Future vaccination clinics, May 21st, May 26th, June 3rd, June 9th, are at the health department. Boost doses in Prime. We will take walk-ins in those mornings, no appointment necessary. We'll make home visits for vaccines if needed, because we've been doing that. We will come to your community, business, or location if anybody has interest in vaccination. Vaccine percentage rates is on the KDHE website, and currently for Linn County, we are at 29.17% for received one vaccine. And for considered fully vaccinated, we're at 24.7%. And I think that's updated twice a week on the KDHE website. We are flexible with our scheduling for our vaccine clinics.
How does that,
Compare?
Yeah.
I haven't looked.
okay.
I can look at that. My recommendation to people is to lead by example. If you or someone that you know is hesitant to get a vaccine, give us a call and we can talk to them and give them information if they have questions. Employers could offer bonus, gift card, or other incentives, allow time off for those wishing to get vaccinated, approve additional time off for those who experience side effects from the vaccine. Just some ways to encourage vaccination. We did have our state WIC evaluation 2 weeks ago, and it was virtually through Zoom with the state WIC, and they praised us on the new clinic. We got positives. We had a great team, great at promoting breastfeeding, and staff that are great at documenting on the clients, and they're interested in using some of our staff as models for the state WIC. We did sports physicals the last couple of weeks. Thank you to Dr. Allen and Dr. Kathleen Stone, who assisted with those. We did Jayhawk and Prairie View. Pleasanton didn't get with us on a date, so we may look at doing something like that with them this summer if they're interested. We did 79 total, ran out of time at Prairie View, so we're going back May 25th in the morning to finish the ones that had signed up. We do have a breastfeeding room set up and operational at the health department now, so if you want to come see what it's nice and calming, and could be a relaxation room too. Amanda is attending safe sleep training next week, so she'll be able to teach classes. She's also attending a car seat tech training in June. That will go and coincide with our MCH program. We've also have some summer stuff going on this summer. We have a summer funshine that is going to be in educational topics for parents and children in a fun learning environment. We're talking about doing like water type stuff outside for fun for kids, and then also talking about summer safety products or summer safety education. We have BAM classes. So that's on June 4th is our first one of those. On June 3rd, we have our BAM classes that are going to start, and those are 6 weeks every Thursday. Is it a Wednesday or Thursday? From 2 to 4, becoming a mom classes, prenatal education, and that's free to the community. Future outreach events, May 25th, we're going to complete our Prairie View Sports Physical Clinic. June 3rd is BAM. June 4th, Summer Funshine, and we're working on our community baby shower in July.
Those classes is being taught by one of your employees there.
Yep.
Will they just teach it there at the health department, or are they going other locations?
It's gonna be at the health department in the conference room and also as a Zoom option.
Okay.
So, yep.
You got anything, Dean?
I don't.
Nope.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Gary, you got anything while we're waiting on, Jackie?
See these aerial photographs of the project down here. The progress since then. Also, I've been asked by both, including one or more commissioners, about this 30 by 30 project that Mr. Biden has included in some of his plans for the future, which is to have 30% of the United States waters and land federal environmental control by 2030. I don't know if you've heard of that or not. But, there's a ton of stuff available on it. Some of it, like anything else on the internet, is extreme one way or the other. But I got some stuff that I felt was fairly balanced. If you want to read about it, the reason I'm
Have you been keeping up on it?
some county commissions have, taken steps to put out a resolution about it.
Have you, the paper been keeping up on this?
What if a resolution is signed? What does that protect us from? I guess nothing.
All it does.
Saying we don't like it? Yeah.
It makes it clear to the state government that this is your position, but it doesn't really stop anything from happening, and it doesn't really create any happenings. I mean, it's just a matter, it's kind of like almost like a press release, you know, it's just a matter of saying, here's our position on this.
Can the state act on this as well and do any good?
The state can, there are ways in which the state can resist.
Okay.
And, you know.
I'm sure they're working on it.
Study it over, I think you'll, you know. I'm not sure just exactly. Did you want a copy?
Is that your cows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the document.
Did you hear about this or something?
Huh?
Did you hear about this?
Yeah, there's the county signing the resolution.
Yeah,
There's
there
people
are
come-
counties that are doing it.
Yeah,
And the counties
Your
that are
brother
doing
down there
it,
signing that one?
yeah, they're going to it,
Why don't you get a copy of it? See what
they
happens.
have,
I've got copies of resolutions with
Okay.
you. I didn't,
Of that one?
well, I'm not a plagiarist. They were
coffee.
copies. I don't have theirs. I've got some from other counties.
Okay.
There's only one or two of the counties that have done it. Coffee County.
Well, I don't know that they've signed it yet, but they had a lady come down and talk to them about
There-
what it entails.
There's several up in Nebraska, that's counties that are taking.
Right, that's where
There's some in Colorado, and anything that anybody can does will be modeled on one of those, sure.
Okay. Good info.
one of these, I got two the same, I think.
I have an update for Doug.
Okay, go ahead.
Messaged me and said that last week they had 183 calls, 2 false alarms, 1 medical assist, and 1 landing zone.
Okay. Let me check.
Document it when we go to court. That's a joke.
What's our, I saw that they've got a lot of stuff out of the car wash. What's the next step? Do we need to, is that a Jackie
Yeah, we
question?
need to, I think we're at a point where we need to just demo when we've got a car wash. No. Yeah, no.
Got to disconnect the utilities, you know, so I just gave, Joyce a service request today to contact, get all of those, make sure they're ready, but other than that, we're ready.
And at some point, you'll need to decide, I mean, I think the big storage building is currently in use, as we saw when we were out there. But you'll need to decide what you want to do at the end of the project on that. I'm assuming that you want to make that available, maybe for sale removal.
Jackie Messer, Public Works Administrator. I'll follow up on that comment. Every bin out there is in use. Every single one of them's in use, either county storage or loaned to the construction for their storage, or we have some stuff we need to purple wave we've tucked away in there, but right now, every single bin is in use. Dust control, the tentative date is the first week in June. We're up against the wall here because we don't know what the weather's going to do. We need 2 weeks of prep before the roads are ready. And with this rain this week, it's probably going to put that back a week. So I expect that first week of June to slide. In fact, I know it will. We got the grant submitted for the 3 more trailers for the schools. It looks like we will end up paying like $7,500 for 3 trailers, and they're about 14,000 new. So I think we're in really good shape on that. That Lake Region's also working with the schools. I've kind of asked her to start moving that direction, helping them directly. And she's already worked with Pleasanton to get containers for inside the school. There's grant opportunities, so she's helping them put in for these grants to put containers to collect the stuff. So just a little summary on that training class. We did have that blade training last week. We had 12 people attend it. I thought it was very good. The guy was very knowledgeable. We did a day of classroom in here and then a day out in the field, and he would have individual operators get in there, and as they begin, you could hear them on the radio all day long. You need to be riding that tire a little bit closer there, or you need to turn your blade. Just little tips to fine tune what they do. And I got pretty good positive feedback from it. The guys were I think, appreciative of the opportunity to pick up some skills and techniques that they hadn't been used.
I talked to you earlier, it seemed like they learned some about their equipment they didn't even know about.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, one guy came up to me and said, I had some features on this John Deere that I didn't know was there, that no one had ever showed him, and the instructor asked him how well it was working, and he said, how well what's working? So the instructor was very knowledgeable about all types of equipment, some of the stuff that's available on a John Deere as opposed to a Cat. So he went through a lot of that stuff. It was pretty good.
So that's something that we'll continue to have, or?
I'd like to set up another one. This next one, I want to do it a little bit differently. I want to set up a classroom live stream, and we'll invite the surrounding counties, and they'll all be participating, because you have to have 12 to have the class. And then he'll go to the individual locations for the counties to do it. So we're going to jointly sponsor another one. The people that we missed because they were medical or other reasons, I had a couple, 2 or 3 people I'd like to put in it. So we'll end up doing it again. I think it cost us $100 a person or something like that. So it wasn't bad at all. It was a very good investment. The cell construction, we got all the issues with KDHE and everything, and now it's just the weather, as usual. Here is the monthly report for April of what we did. Just a pretty good summary that we'll print out every month of where we're at on some of this stuff. We're still working on that airport committee idea. Jessica had a meeting, so she couldn't present where they're at. I do have a paper I need you guys to sign. This is the state's requirement for the Botkin 31 bridge. An agreement that has to be signed.
Did Gary look at it?
Give him that to him. Let you read this. It's a standard agreement that telling us that we have X amount of dollars. If it runs over that, then we have to pay a percentage.
Right.
And Peppercorn's still working on that. They're also coordinating with the state on the Hells Bend Bridge. I hear from them periodically as the stuff works through the process. Peppercorn did come out and visit last week. I had them stop by. I walked through a few projects. That one bridge up there, and for the life of me, I can't remember the road. The one that the guardrail got damaged so bad, just north of Lacine. I'm just drawing a blank on which road it is.
Seen the pictures.
Uh,
Bridge.
where it knocked the piers. They were going to do an inspection the other day to make sure it was still sound, and I heard there was some holes in the metal deck, so they looked at that. Went down to Thomas Road with them and looked at that where it's encroaching up to the road. The wing wall fell off a couple of years ago, and we haven't got it put back on yet.
So I thought we had talked about, there's a few of those wing bridges, the big tall sides that you had talked about maybe having those removed so they can get equipment over 'em.
Oh, yeah, well, we haven't had any of those requests, and I found out we can do that. We're just going to do it a one by one as we find
So
time.
what will we do to protect individuals from going off the side there?
It's got to be under 6 foot drop. And the state's saying it's more of a hazard having that concrete there. So what we'll do, if it's less than 6 feet, we'll knock the concrete rail off, put OMs on each corner, and that's all that we need to do.
Okay. There's a bridge up by Lansing. I can't think of the road, but it's off Robertson Road there.
Yeah.
I'll get with you on it.
Yeah, and there's a couple going out of Parker. There's one over here on Payne
If
Road.
that will help out
Yes.
farmers and people to get equipment over, that's fine.
Yep.
It's just that,
So we're working on that. I showed him another project. I'll talk about that later. I do have another proposal. I've brought this up in the past. There's a tank up at Lacine. It's full of oil.
yeah.
That is waste oil. We can't use it because first off, it's been sitting in there for years and we don't know what's all in there. I got a proposal finally got one. I've looked and looked, but an environmental restoration gave me a proposal for cleaning that tank out, removing all the oil for recycle, and that's $8,300. I'd like to get approval to go ahead and proceed with that.
We continue to use it afterwards?
It's been there they've been using this for years and years
Yes.
and years, right?
Yeah, but
Is it just the North Shop that puts?
no,
the
it's
oil?
asphalt puts it in there. Asphalt
Asphalt
operation.
does? Okay.
There's two options. One is once it's cleaned out, put the crew to painting it one day and cleaning it up and placard it the way it's supposed to be. Or we can purple wave it. Or the third option is buy a new tank, which is not as large, that is heated. So basically, when you put the oil back in there, you turn the heat on. It keeps the oil where you can pump it right back out the next day. So it would be more efficient. If you put it in that and you get a cold stretch, or it's hard to get it back out. And I think that's probably what happened. They put it in there, didn't get back to it, and it hardened up and they couldn't get it out. These people are going to have to heat that, use pressure washers and steam it and everything else to get that out. So there's three options. I was just going to talk to Asphalt and get some quotes on these other tanks and then bring those back next week of which way do we want to go and make a recommendation. But I'd like to let these people go ahead. They have health safety plans. They do this.
We can't use the oil that's in it for anything for.
No, it's too old and a lot of the chemicals have evaporated. So it's just like a big tar bucket right now that you can't use it. Plus, we don't know what was put in there. It's been dumped in for years. This job got rained out, so they put some in there, and it might be tack oil, it might be RC. We don't know what it is, so we can't reutilize it.
So once we get it cleaned out and we mark it right or paint it, we're gonna
Yeah, there'd be
same thing?
no, it would be up to the foreman. If it happens again, that there should be repercussions for it. But I don't know how old that is. I don't know how long it's been in there.
Is there any way we can send a sample of it in and see what it is?
They did sample it, but it's not viable product anymore. It's like old gas. You can't use the old gas. And that's the same thing here. It's an old oil now because it's broken down. The components have evaporated out of it, and there's no way to get it usable. That was one of my first questions. Can we make it
So
usable?
you've had it tested and they said it's not usable.
Yes. Yes.
And this is the amount it takes to clean
Yes.
it out, and then we gotta figure out what we wanna do with it.
Yep,
One
they're
way or
gonna,
another, it's got to come out. I mean,
pardon?
I said one way or another, it's got to come
It's
out.
got to come out.
All right.
It's hazmat right now.
And what's the company's name?
Environmental restoration.
What do you think?
Clean it up, I guess.
Okay. While they're looking at, what else you got?
We did have an employee whose name I don't want to mention, but smashed a finger down at one of the operations, had surgery last week, and will probably be off for a little bit.
Yeah.
I did get an email, I found it just a little bit ago. State of Kansas has given us a heads up that there's been reports of flooding, and they wanted to remind all the counties to document damage. So we may be looking at another FEMA type reimbursement thing. So we are going to be, well, we are anyway. Joyce is tracking that stuff anyway. We probably will create a water damage or water possible one. So start tracking this stuff now in case it is declared. We never did get that second check. It's the check's in the mail, and we haven't seen it yet, but there is another check that's also has reached the approval stage. It's about a $40,000 one that's going to be coming from that FEMA as well. So we're expecting that any day.
Hey, let's go ahead and get this out of the way. Make a motion for ER Restoration to pay them the amount of $8,300 to drain that tar oil or whatever else is in that tank there in Lacey, clean it up.
It'll be completely clean.
Yes, it'll be clean, and then I'll put a,
Motion.
I'll second
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye.
yeah, they'll haul it away to a recycle facility because it can't be reused the way it is. And then, like I said, I'll bring in a recommendation next week after I do a little bit more study on it to either paint it, monitor it more closely, or replace it. I asked, the little bit I have talked, Todd said, if we pull it right back out, if it gets caught by rain, we dump it in there because we have nothing else to do with it, and we go back immediately the next day and pull it out, then it's fine. But if you forget about it and you don't do it, it's not viable. So we could use it, but I'd like to see a comparison to this newer, smaller tank that has a heating capability.
Okay.
So if you want to pump it out and reuse it, you'll heat it overnight, it's ready to be pumped, and boom, it's gone.
All right.
I would like to get about a 10-minute legal and a 10-minute personnel.
Did you make 2 copies of this, Jack? They said they want 2, so.
I only did. I'm sorry, I didn't see that.
Okay.
I got a phone call, Jackie, about somebody down in the Mapleton area. They asked me how come something about stop signs down there. They don't have stop signs on crossroads.
Not every crossroad has a stop sign. We will evaluate them when the time comes. If I knew where it was, we could look at it and do an evaluation, see if we need one. But there's a lot of areas that don't have them.
That's what they said. They said, over in like the Pleasanton area, it's pretty common, but over in Blue Mountain that they didn't have as.
And then to do it, I need to know the location, need to do an assessment, bring it to you guys to be voted. I can't put a stop sign up without the commission approval. It has to be done by resolution. So if I can find out where it is, I will get Kevin to do an assessment on it, and I'll go out and look at it as well, and then present it for if it's viable to go ahead. And plus, we have to figure out which way the signs, which side the signs have to be on per manual of uniform traffic control devices.
Okay. Is that it?
Yeah.
You got anything, Jim?
Nope.
Andy, you wanted to say something?
I have a dedication of road easement for lot split purposes. Dedicates 35
You seen it?
along Waddles at 600 Road. one I filed.
Yes.
So this is a client of mine, so I will participate in the discussion as county council.
If you accept the right of way, I can approve their lot split.
Where's it at?
600 in Waddles.
Raise your arm and see if you know this.
Sure where it's at.
When we do, I will explain, when we do a lot split, when somebody splits off less than 10 acres, no, less than 40 acres, they have to do a lot split. And when we do that, we ask them to make sure that we have 35-foot right of way from the center of the road to the edge of the property. And so a lot of these old ones were only 60 or 50 or less.
Or less, yeah.
And so to get 70, 35 is, they're half of the 70. To get 70, they have to grant us additional right of way. So every place that we do a lot split, where there's not already a 70-foot right of way, they have to give us 35 feet of right of way. So the commissioners don't have to approve the lot split, and he approves those, but the commissioners have to accept the right of way. So it's just basically just a format.
You know where it's at?
I have an idea.
Do we have?
Hey, can we get a map or something, Andy? You got location for this? I know I read it.
Side of the road.
Oh, it's
Give us a
600
description.
Waddles. It'd be east and slightly north of Pleasanton.
Which property is it?
It's at the intersection. It would be the southeast corner. There's an 80 there.
There's an open field right now, isn't it?
A lot of it is. I think they're cutting off a piece of maybe not conducive for row crop or something.
So will be a 70-foot right of way once we do this. What is it now, do you know?
It'll be 35 feet on their side.
On their side, but the other side don't extend much.
It's existed already at 30. So, actually you're only getting 5 feet. So,
I see.
So what we've got right now is 60-foot total right of way,
correct.
and now we have 65.
65 foot.
Any questions about it? All right, make a motion that we allow, I can't make the motion, it's for me to sign, you make the motion.
Always need a motion for you to sign it.
Just motion to accept the right.
Yep.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we accept this right away. Is there an address or anything we have to say?
600
Legal
Waddle.
description's on it, but just grant of easement for lot split purposes.
All right, that's my motion.
I'll second it.
That's a weak motion, dude. Moving to second, all in favor? Aye. I'm just messing with you.
Here are 2 copies of that agreement on the bridge fund.
I guess I could have. Vice Chairman signed that.
2 copies of that agreement on the bridge fund. I think there's a place in.
Oh, they same thing?
Yeah, they're identical. We just need to sign 2. Did you sign?
And I'd like to request 10 minutes legal and 10 minutes personnel.
Where do we sign this at? There ain't really a place. Or is there?
I think there's.
Hey, how are you, sir?
Working on something.
No, come on in, we'll vote you in to work on something.
Page
Warrior
9.
office, just,
Randall,
yeah.
down the road there, about
2 blocks.
2 blocks, on the right, on the right.
Sorry to interrupt.
It's my free advertisement for Jess today.
Page 9 of that needs signed.
Hey, Doug, you want to go next? Oh. Joyce, you got anything you want to say? Sure.
I did get a resignation today, so I'll have another equipment operator position open. Tom Dennis resigned.
He's over in Pleasanton.
He's asking Yeah, South Shop, but he works out of the landfill because that's in the heart of the district that he blades.
Okay.
But he works for Harry.
Where?
Page 9. After page 8.
It is. There you go, right there. That's this one? Same?
There's two copies of it. Danny's got one in his hand. This is that grant on the bridge funding, the project. They estimated the total of $327,000.
Over west.
Yeah, $846, and we're agreeing to cover 10% of the project as long as it stays within that amount.
We already voted on it, right?
Yeah, I think you voted on the project, but I don't know that they authorized you to sign the agreement.
Make a motion for it. For the agreement. I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion that we, have the commissioners sign this agreement for the Secretary of Transportation, paying back 10% of the 300 and whatever.
327,846.
Yeah.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And that was again for the bridge?
Biking and 30 miles.
Yeah. You need all of those copies signed?
There's just two copies, yeah. Just need both of those on.
All right, we got you. David, how are you?
Getting better.
Good, good.
You ready to run a foot race or? Okay. Play catcher or something?
All right, so we got some executive session coming up. Does anybody else besides who mentioned need to go?
I'll probably need a 5-minute legal.
Okay. So we got Andy for 10 minutes for legal, Andy 10 minutes for personnel. We've got Jackie 10 minutes for legal and 10 minutes for personnel. And then you wanted 10 minutes?
5.
5 for legal?
Yeah.
For legal.
So 45 minutes.
That's what I got. Make a motion that we go into executive session, as I stated,
And I'll second.
for 45 minutes. It's been seconded. All in favor? Aye. Let's do Andy first.
Yeah.
Good, go ahead.
Sure.
Good morning.
How are you?
So we have some action for our executive session, and Jackie's going to announce something.
I'm submitting my resignation as Public Works Administrator effective June 2nd. And appreciate the opportunity to serve Linn County.
Yeah, I hope, I know I was part of the hiring process along with Mike Page and Vicki Leonard, so I know there was no position, it had been vacant for years and a big void, so I want to personally thank you for everything that you've coordinated and all the grants you wrote and all the sewage stuff and wastewater management, everything that you've done that we didn't have and kept us out of a lot of trouble over the years. And I appreciate it. I guess I would leave for bigger and better things too if it was paying that much. So thank you for everything.
I don't know who gets this. You guys got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So let's do the health insurance renewal handbook approval. You got it, / handbook approval.
We hit the health insurance part first. I think that should be pretty quick. We got a really good renewal quote on our health insurance this year. Did you have something printed for them or? Okay. You get to the right page here. Yeah. So each year
You need to sit down?
I'm good for
Okay.
now.
All right.
Set too long to get stiff. Each year, since our health insurance starts on August 1st, when we're doing budget for the following year, I try to estimate an increase for health insurance. No idea what it's going to be at that point because it's basically 15 months away when I'm working on it. I had estimated a 10% increase for the August 1st renewal of this year when we did budgets last year. So the quote we got in, they give us a annual total cost at expected and at maximum. So we have a maximum limit, and that's what we budget to is that maximum. So in case we have to spend everything, we've got it covered in budget. The increase that we got on the renewal quote this year on the expected cost was 0.77%. And on the maximum, it was only 0.14%. So we're looking at basically no increase to renew. And we really didn't, there's no benefit changes to speak of. There's just some little odds and ends we're cleaning up and, some options to work out. But this is an incredible renewal. I mean, the only reason our expected claims actually went down. Their fixed cost on the stop loss is where we saw some increase that offset it. So it came out with pretty much an even renewal, no extra cost other than 0.14%.
That's just based off the claims from last year, is that?
Well, it's our claims, it's their whole group's claims, it's the stop loss. I mean, there's a lot of different factors they put into it, but we did have a good claims year so far in this policy, so that helped us quite a bit too. So with that, all I would ask for at this point is an okay to go ahead and renew that as presented. And here's the comparison sheet where it gets down to the numbers. There's the increase percentages.
Where is it here?
You just need a motion to continue on?
To approve the renewal as presented for Blue Cross Blue Shield.
I'll make a motion that we approve that renewal.
I'll second it.
Anybody got any questions? Been moved and seconded, we approve the renewal for health insurance. All in favor? Aye.
All right, and then handbook, Cindy's got information on that.
Now, all the employees have had the opportunity, everybody's had the opportunity. Have you gotten any messages back, any emails, text?
We have a couple of things here.
Okay. So when we get to whatever, if you have questions on, just go ahead and speak up.
I know, Janet, you had some concerns about the training. Is that right? The IT training.
What page?
Let's see.
What's that? 8. Okay. In the red. Okay. So what was the thoughts on the IT training? What could we clear up on that?
Those were Chris Martin's suggestions.
Do you know anything about what he was referring to?
Well, I mean, I think he's wanting people to take a course on, I'm not sure what.
Security?
Online safety.
That Know before training, is that,
How to stop intrusions into
Yeah.
our system. Because anybody who goes out online from our system has the possibility of
Bringing a virus.
intrusion, and he wanted to teach people how to avoid it.
Okay.
And I think, and stop me if I'm not relaying this correctly, but some of the concern there that you guys had was, the courses must be completed or
You'll be shut down.
computer access could be
That's
removed.
Chris will shut you off.
And they're concerned about if it didn't get done in that time, people not being able to get in the computer, which would mean they couldn't do their work.
Okay.
So I don't know if there's some type of balance in there and.
I mean, I think if you didn't take the course, it'd kind of be heartbreaking if you couldn't get in your computer.
I looked at one of his questions, let me say, I tried to take it. It was so much, I couldn't pass it. Could you pass it, Cindy? I took it 3 times before I, because it was about fishing and. It was.
So okay. So what can we do about this? Is Chris around?
Our software provider, we do have a security thing that we do when we have people go to play.
If we had certification from our software providers, maybe.
Yeah.
If he takes away my employee.
No, he's not. Just calm down. We'll get you taken care of, Janet.
I'm just saying.
There are ways of putting protection into, to where people can't get where they shouldn't be. I mean, is that what I'm understanding?
What the trainers on the emails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously don't always read it all anyway.
Exactly.
And that's where a lot of this stuff comes in. You get emails and somebody clicks on a link or an attachment to an email and, that's the type of training people do need because they need to know not to do those things.
Have we had a bunch of viruses or whatever?
I don't.
Have we been shut down at all?
we haven't, but I know there are other counties that have had.
Yeah,
issues.
I know there's issues out there for lots of different things.
Yeah.
But in this language doesn't say will be shut off. It says it could be. I think that's, yeah.
I think his point, I understand his point, one, that he wants people to do these courses, and you're saying the courses are ridiculous about stuff that not relating to,
The information is good, but I think the tests are a little bit weird. Yeah, they're worded weird, so you don't know how to answer them,
okay.
I think.
Just give me a course here, watching it, and I go to the course, I listen.
And be done with it. You're okay with that?
Yes.
Well, if you sign off and say you actually just watched the course, I mean, what would
Do we
be
need
wrong
to
with that?
test?
We just,
Yeah.
you know, check, yes,
We do specs or that one or the other.
Right.
You guys have a course, we can all in here, we take it, or not.
Yeah. Can we work at something like that? Or do we even need to change anything? These don't say online, do they? Can we work through that process?
So really, your issue is not so much the language of this,
It's
the
the,
kind of tests that qualify for this.
she doesn't want to be made
You don't like the
forced to
language
do that.
either.
But I will say that the county is being completely shut down because some employee has done something they shouldn't have done or not knowingly. Yeah. So I'm just saying if there's a better way to do this, like you say, come over and everybody watch a class or, yeah, and then not worry about the test, but to understand that these are the reasons why. There's Chris right there. Chris, thank you. You must have heard me. So the concern is on this page 8 on the training courses, IT training courses, is not necessarily that they have to take the course. It's the result of taking the test afterwards, and it's taking people multiple times for whatever reason. The tests are not related to, or they're related obviously, but the tests are just kind of goofy. Versus maybe just watching it here with one of you, Chris.
So that's the point, is we've had a situation in the last year where several different departments or individuals have just flat refused to even do the online course. What our issue there wasn't the passing of the course. If you fail the course, our fallback is you need to come in and do an in-person class with us.
Can we just do all in-person classes?
You can, it's a lot of time and work, and some people don't like it, and they like the flexibility because we got to pull them out of their office.
So if they take the online class versus take the test, and they fail the test, you're okay.
Well, if they fail the test, then we get in touch with them or their department head and say,
But nobody likes to say they failed the test.
well, of course, but that's, I mean, I wish I could express to you the number of emails I get a week on our systems that people have opened emails that our virus scanners have blocked. And, you know, obviously the concern grows more and more that people literally just trust our antivirus or our firewalls solely.
Right.
And they're just clicking on everything. Whatever comes in, I mean, we send out test messages from this system and yeah, and it happens. I mean, the point isn't to shame somebody, it's to educate them.
Right.
And if they fail the test, you know, we just want to get them to a point of understanding that they might question the messages or what they're doing. And then, you know, ask IT. I get that a lot.
Some of the fallback from other counties for not, whether they do this or don't, have they been shut down? I mean, their whole IT section collapsed. They're corrupted.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, in other counties, I know, I want to, I guess I'm not, I don't, yeah, I was going to say, I knew there was one. And where they find that the point of penetration always comes from is the phishing, where they're sending emails, they're calling and tricking people into doing something, which is what opens the door, right? It's not, we're not finding that they're breaking through firewalls or they're somehow just getting into the system. Somebody has allowed them in, or it's a password security, or it's a link in a whatever it is. So what our goal here was to show that we take this seriously.
Right.
And that, again, if you don't pass the online test, not everybody's good at that.
Right.
Sitting there and watching. If they say, I just don't want to do it online, well, then come see us. But I don't want everyone to not be given.
Depending on you doing it twice a year or once a year. Yeah,
exactly.
I got you.
Yeah.
All right. Feedback? Got anything? Makes sense?
I understand his, but I also understand what.
I do.
You know,
Yeah, I do too, both
you know, as
sides.
far as, what happens then if they come to you, Chris, and they don't pass, I guess.
I don't see that as being the online, the only way we know is a pass or fail. If they're in the classroom, at least we can interact with them and sort of work on them, even in a one-on-one fashion, to try to get them to understand the concepts that we're talking about. Because So, yeah, and then some people, I mean, it could be just the way they don't like that test. So let's come on in and let's discuss the platform or what we need to get down to.
Have you got a pass-fail rate? Do you know?
We do, it's in the system.
I mean,
don't
is
have
it,
off the top of
is
my
it
head.
good or bad?
It's good. I mean, we have a lot of people that pass.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they may have to take it more than once.
Yes, there are some that are, I mean, the first time pass rate is very high.
And to protect the county, you're for it? Without any changes?
What's that?
Without any changes by just coming over and teaching a class? You'd rather them to do it first online?
I really would.
Okay.
I mean, I agree, we need some safety. I think the repercussion that we have in here is kind of overstepping.
That's my issue.
How you figure?
They don't get no step increase or cost of living or promotions, or they can remove their computer. I mean, if she doesn't want to do it and we remove her computer, she's kind of a big thing
Well,
in the county.
That almost can't happen, but
But I think I need to clarify, we're not talking about you fail and you don't get it. It's the refusal. So I didn't have a chance to read through that myself over the weekend. It's those that are like,
say, I'm not doing it. Yeah.
that's where I'm coming from. If you're trying and you're making an effort, I'm all good with that. I have no problem with that.
But you're saying, if I say,
ones that
well,
just say,
Chris, I'm not doing that crap.
Yeah, and
So if we change it from failed to complete, if you failed, if you refuse to take.
refused,
That's what.
that's the word we
If you
use.
refuse to take,
That's right.
Are you better with that?
if we put it to, you refuse it, it's automatic.
We just worked out something.
Okay.
Oh,
Because as far as I know, all my people have tried it.
okay.
If you're trying, I think that's,
All right.
got to give you a pass.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
refused.
Well, yeah. And,
They were visiting, you know.
I know you are. All the taxpayers know you are.
You guys good with that then? If it says refuse?
Refused is better.
Okay. That problem solved. What you got, Christie? You sure? Okay. So can we do that? All right. Yeah, you okay with that, David?
Sure.
Chris, thank you. Here. Don't leave unless there's something else. Then where are we going? What page are we going to? 14? Is that the next one? There's two words in there. It says full-time. Hey, Kevin, page 14, it says full-time law enforcement. The word full-time was added. Are you aware of that? We're talking about on your FLSA schedules, periods. It talks a little bit about it. And on page 14, there's two words added, full-time.
It's talking about the 28-day work period.
Okay. And what's the next page? 20.
Next one is the vacation policy.
Okay.
And I know that Doug had maybe some comments about that.
Doug, come on up. You got some comments on it. I know you called me about it.
By implementing this policy, and I don't know that it affects any other salaried employees or exempt employees, but it certainly affects me because I'm in tier 1 of keepers.
Is that, explain tier 1, is that new or old?
Tier 1 is the oldest.
Oldest.
It was the first. Tier 2 came in 94 or 95, if I remember correctly. But I started with the state in 1986. So I was in their keeper system in 1986. So if you implement this policy, all of the payout I would get for my annual leave that I have accrued when I retire would go away, in and for the most part from reading it. And that money is counted towards my retirement benefit from the state, affecting me about $100 a month for the rest of my life.
Okay. Do we know if anybody else is affected with that? Tier 1? Do you know, David?
We probably have a few people, well, I don't know that we have anybody else in the.
Exempt.
Yeah.
And tier 1.
Correct. And that's going to be, I may be the only employee affected would be my guess.
So is there a workaround on that?
Well, the workaround is to guarantee to Doug that you're not going to cancel out what he's accrued so far or pay him for what he's accrued so far. With that,
If you would pay me today for everything I have accrued and then move me to the new policy, it does not affect me at all. But that puts that income into my final average salary calculation. If you implement this, and the way I read it, if I retire in March, which I think March was my good date to retire, if I retire in March, I get paid for 3 months, the way I'm reading this new policy, whereas now, that'd be 24 hours, whereas now I could carry over 120, and if I went in December, I could have 240 hours to carry over. So it significantly affects my final retirement salary. Thus my concern.
Is there a way to exempt him or grandfather him in
well,
if we chose to?
Exempt tier one employees will be paid for accrued vacation time at the point at the time that this is implemented, and will then from then on be under the current policy. I mean, you can say that. I mean, there's nobody else that fits that category.
Okay.
It is a unique situation.
I don't know, but I expect I have around 200 hours because of what we carried over this year due to COVID. Maybe a little less than that, maybe a little over that, but I'm going to guess it's about 200 hours. So going from 200 hours of annual leave that would count towards my retirement benefit to 20 or 30 is significant.
I understand.
I think it would affect more than just the fire chief. I think it's gonna affect guys like Chris Martin as well, because he's a tier one,
But
with a salary.
you're not exempt from it, are you?
So I think there would be several that it would affect countywide.
And you're tier one?
On,
On keepers.
yeah, I believe so, I was early.
How long?
Can you look him up?
Were you a Keepers employee before 1995?
No.
That's what tier one has.
Tier two started in 94 or 95.
Okay. I'm in the next.
Yeah, see, I'm tier two, I'm in tier two. So I don't think we started with yet.
David, you got some suggestions?
Well, we're looking at dates here, I think.
So what you're saying, Doug, is that instead of 120 hours to carry over, you would have more than that now with the way it is. That, if we go into effect with this, it's cuts you back to 120 is the most you can retire with, right?
If I retired in December, but the way I read this document, if I went in March as an example, I only get paid for 3 months, even though I get 120 for the year. So I get 24 hours versus 120 hours versus the 200 plus hours or 180 or whatever I have now.
Is that his vacation, Doug?
Yeah, that's my vacation time.
Okay, so you're talking about the carryover of 120, is that? Okay. If you're non-exempt upon termination of employment when their first year they forfeit, which that's not unusual. What
No.
line are you looking at?
Back page.
Says, prorated basis, number of months employed for the year.
But that's within first year of service, and that,
What you're looking for later, is that full-time exempt employees are not allowed to carry over vacation time.
So the way it is right now, he can carry 120 over and then he gets 120 next year if he's at a 3-week.
Which he could use any, whatever he doesn't use above the 120, he'll lose at the end of that.
He loses, but what the new policy is, if he has 120 at the end of the year, he loses that 120 and he starts over with a new 120.
Correct.
Right.
But the question is, when does that new 120 sign?
Beginning of each year is what I understand.
So that your proration argument would not be valid.
Yeah, it also says that, upon termination, first year of service will be prorated based on the number of months. employed.
okay, that's,
That's what he's saying.
Oh, that's.
So within the first year, but beyond the first year, it's prorated. Which you can make changes to. This is just a proposal. Up to you.
I got a text message from an employee. It said, I may be tier one, keepers as I had keepers back in the 80s.
Yeah, so.
but is that an exempt employee would be?
He's not exempt, probably.
Capers Tier 2 didn't start until 2009. So anybody hired between 2009 and 2014 is your Tier 2. Everyone before that is Tier 1.
But it's exempt employees.
Was you?
Right, yeah. So you are going to probably have a few more that are going to fall into that Tier 1, more than you think.
And I think where this gets back to how this came up is we had an exempt employee who retired within the last few years, who had built up tons of vacation and sick leave. Even though we know that person was not here every day, they just weren't recording, I think, what they took off as vacation or sick. And it allowed them to build up all these hours, and then we had to pay out thousands of dollars when this person retired.
Did you get that?
Had they recorded all of their time off, they wouldn't have had that much built up. But where they're exempt, there was no requirement to record. So that's where it started. So we were trying to avoid getting in a situation where,
So you're paid for your sick leave too, right?
well, for a percentage of it, yeah. Yeah, we were trying to avoid a situation where somebody never recorded any of their sick leave or vacation and let it build up to the max on everything and then retired and got paid several $1,000s.
Asked you.
When we don't believe they probably should have. Now, I know at the time we started that, I don't think we'd really looked at the capers angle on it on.
Okay, so how we solve it?
I don't know. I mean, is there, and this I guess is probably more of a Gary question, a way to
Eliminate vacation?
say, Gary,
Ain't taking
this
it.
is higher from this point forward, or if you are tier 2, or
That's what we
to
do.
make some kind of exemption for someone.
Well, I think you could word it so that one option that we talked about would be to pay off anybody that's in this position, pay off now for their vacation time, and then let them just start under this plan this time forward. To me, that makes sense, if you're gonna make some accommodation. I get it, you could also say anybody hired before this date, certain date, doesn't fall under this, they fall under a whole different set of rules, but I think that's more complicated, because not only are you making the distinction, but you're gonna have to follow that distinction in the future. You know, you're gonna have to figure it out. But I would prefer to see a payoff, if you're gonna do something, a payoff for the time they've got now, and start from the baseline under the policy, and everybody goes up to the policy.
But that's fair with everybody? I mean, that's,
Well, I mean, the only person in effect, really, or the only people affected, the people who are tier one exempt employees. And I think we've just got
One.
one.
Would they not then get a payout again of whatever their?
Well, they would get,
I mean,
what you'd be doing is let's say that they're, let's say they've got, what, 200 hours now.
Give or take, I don't know exactly.
You pay, you would pay for the amount over 120, the amount that he would otherwise lose. Whatever he would otherwise lose, you pay him for at this point, and then he gets paid 120, then like everybody else.
Does an exempt employee actually put down these hours and takes vacation?
Well,
are we tracking that?
I'm not.
exempt employees, by our handbook, are supposed to clock in and out and report their vacation and sick time. Contract employees do not. Yeah.
I am now turning in my contract chart, time I end in the county payroll system every day, and I turn in sick leave or vacation leave, so that is reported every day.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is your assistant an exempt employee?
Yes, he's an exempt employee. Oh, he's in tier one or tier two.
Yeah, he's in tier one, he says.
tier one.
So we have more than one.
So Doug, what he said about, paying off, do you feel that's fair for you? I mean, what's your opinion on it?
If you pay me out right now, for me, that solves my problem. Because it goes into my salary, and I'm closing up for retirement, it can calculate my final average salary. If you grandfather me in, so that I can carry the 120 hours over to whatever I have for the year, that works too. But that, as Gary said, makes it work in me.
When did we start logging the hours as far as like what you're doing right now? When did that start?
That started when the county got this computerized payroll system.
How long ago?
Last year, or
3 years.
3 years?
We were just talking, I think we need to check with Capers too and see if we can do a payout like that and have it still count, because they've got some rules about jumps in salary and how it works. So we'd want to make sure that we even can do something like that before we take any action.
So you want to work on that for a week, see what we can come up with? All right. Let's go on. At 33, grievance procedures.
I think that's just setting a time limit of 90 days to file a grievance, which they would think is way more than enough time if somebody was going to do it. And it still leaves it open for, if there's exceptional circumstances, it could be extended, so. Was it just red because it was a change, or is it red because somebody was against it? No, it's just a change. Okay.
Why is it needed, though?
Because we don't want somebody coming back a year or 2 years later saying, I got previous back in, 2014.
Okay.
Getting ready to quit next week, I'm on a grievance.
And I think we've had that.
We have run into situations like that, and it makes it difficult to investigate them, it makes it difficult to, it's just, if somebody has a grievance, unless they're under some kind of incapacity, it's reasonable to think that they should be able to file that grievance within 90 days.
Any of you four got anything against that? Comments, Sheriff?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right, go to page 34 then.
And I think that one is just basically stating that we may have a sheriff's department officer there when somebody's terminated. It doesn't say we are going to. I think it just spells it out that we have that option.
Yeah. Any comments on that? Okay, page 36, volunteer firemen.
My concern with that would be Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 is when our most critical time for getting volunteers would be. And I see a potential that the employee who have to work for the county might also be a volunteer fireman, be precluded from responding to calls when they are. Certainly understand, I'll use the highway department. You have an employee on a road grader 5 miles from the shop. It does not make sense for that employee to road that piece of equipment into the shop, go on a crash fire or medical system. It's probably over before he gets to the shop. But if that same employee was sitting in the shop and could immediately respond, they may be the only one that responds out of the area. We may have to wait 20 minutes to get another station to respond. And if it is a medical call, we're delaying the care of that patient, potentially, getting AMRs need help getting picked up. So I hate to create a situation where we potentially restrict those people's ability to do something.
Can we just maybe change it to notification will be given to the department head instead of prior approval? Has anybody got any objections to that? I mean, you should tell your boss we're leaving to go fight a fire.
Well, not only should you tell your boss, but your boss may have something you need to do at the time where they don't want you to
No,
go
I
too.
agree with that. If there's something they don't want.
I can see both sides to this.
I mean, if there's an employee that wants.
This day and age with cell phones, it isn't hard to get a hold of.
But it also does say prior approval can be given per call or incident type. So if the supervisor wants to say you can go on any medical call, but if it's something else, please check with the first.
Okay.
So that's kind of the wording that we try to put in there.
All right.
But I don't think.
Doug,
I mean,
I think we're going to leave that. Page 40. Monitoring policy.
So we're talking about security, cameras, recordings.
Is this you, Jackie? And did any comments from any of you on this?
I mean, there is some discretion of the department head and elected official there, so we'll just take my office as an example. If I don't want a camera in my office, I could say, no, we're not
Yeah.
going to put one in here.
Sure. Okay.
So I don't know, I mean, if there's any issues with anybody. To me, I don't think this really says we're gonna run right out and put a camera everywhere anyway. It's just we have the right to put in security cameras, but still the department head or elected official could say, no, not in this room.
Well, right, of course, we would never install anything that wasn't requested by the department head or the official.
Right.
We're not putting up cameras so people don't have to.
Sure. Okay. Anybody you got anything on it?
And there's voice isn't activated on them, right? Or if you put them up
No cameras inside any audio journal.
in audio.
Unless the department head specifically requests it.
And then they just need to understand that it's all public at that point.
Right.
So,
But the ones on the outside, if we're wanting to put in for security.
we'll have.
I would say, like, if we come a little hooligan talking about stealing a vehicle, I'd sure like to have them say.
Right. Okay. Page 45. Guidelines.
So I think this one's basically saying, don't go out and create a social media page on your own without your department head or elected official's approval for county use.
Right.
And we do have pages that we use for county
Right.
purposes, but
So.
But we don't
if
want
Christie-
someone,
If Christie wanted to, for registered deeds purposes, she just needs to get with Chris.
well, I mean, she'd have the authority to create one.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, the proper thing to do is,
But what we don't want is an employee in a department creating some page that represents itself as being a county page and posting things on it that shouldn't be there.
okay.
But I want to add to that, obviously, Christie, she'll have that, but when we get into the IT department or road and bridge shop or something like that, they need commission approval
Right.
to do that. And then also, the policy on, in my opinion, should read that, IT should be made an admin on all official county pages.
Absolutely, especially Facebook, because nobody, once you leave, it,
Leaves with
the
the ability to get in there.
creator can't,
Take it away.
yeah, take it away. Yeah. Gotcha. So you need to add something to that, Cindy.
Did that policy talk about retention of that page?
In other words, if somebody's created a page, it's been, accepted by the county, it's represented the county, who's that page belong?
My bigger issue would be, for instance, in my office, through statute, and guidance of the state of Kansas, any of my writings would have to be retained for a period of 5 years, just like any other elected official. So is the elected official responsible for the retention of the page, or does it fall on IT where they would have to retain the page? Because if I went in and deleted my Facebook page, I would be deleting my writings, which would be a violation of that statute makes it for retention. Does that make sense? So, and I'll be honest, I don't want to be responsible for retaining my page. I would rather IT be responsible for retaining my page.
The content from the page.
Right, that could be done through our servers and things
Well,
like that possibly.
We would need a service to do that. In fact, David brought that to our attention not that long ago, and we did review a product for retaining social media content. But there's a cost associated with that. It's, page retention is to say, hey, you just didn't delete the whole Facebook page is one thing, but actually retaining even a deleted comment, if something was said and then was deleted, if we need to retain that was prior to its deletion, we would have to get a paid service to do that for us.
Yeah, we looked at that last year at some point and did not go with that company on it. It was quite expensive.
It was.
Where we'd have to be on that.
Okay.
Now, there may be other companies out there that do that too. But
They're but if that's something you want to do, we can, but that's not something that I can do natively. I can't just like tomorrow start, I'm just gonna save every page we have.
Right.
There's got to be a program that goes in and straightens it.
Okay. All right. Continue on. 47. And contact the clerk's office to formally report the injury. It's under work injuries.
see, and that's just some clarification. We're the ones that make the reports to the work comp company. And we, just notifying your department head, it's not necessarily enough. We need you to notify us so we can get the report done in a timely manner and get it turned in.
So the person injuring themselves versus the section head, or how do you want it
Well, I mean,
reported?
it could be,
Need to be in contact with them
yeah.
so that they know their rights and responsibilities, and they have that information they need.
The employee's obligation. That-
Yeah. So we can't vote your handbook in yet. Another week. You got any comments on it? Anything? See if you can work through this thing back here. I think we've got it. All right. You guys got anything else? No? Huh?
Keep an eye on this anymore.
Yeah, please do. Keep me going. You can text me too, by the way. Apparently I've become very popular. All right. I have a 11 o'clock. We've already missed meeting. Okay. So let's take a 5-minute recess and then we're going to do an interview for a appraiser job. So I'll make a motion. We take 5 minutes for recess and then 25 minutes for an interview.
I'll second.
Total 30 minutes. Moving second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
What's that mean? It's not our fault. You got B.
Huh?
Busy bugs.
Busy Bugs.
And for their total annual cost is, for all these buildings,
And did you give them the list of buildings?
yes. And they have it broke down bi-monthly and then one's monthly, but for, $2,652.
And this Puritan Pest Control has it for the total annual cost for $5,280
Is that annual?
annual. For total annual cost, $5,280.
What's your annual cost?
2,652. So that's a big difference.
Yeah, yeah. Do you need these today? Do we need to start right now?
No, we can start next.
Okay.
Okay.
You get to look them over for a week. All right. Anything left to go? Anybody, Chris, you got anything? Kevin?
We have more.
Okay.
Because it's got the dates and all. Thank you.
Yeah, at least three more things here. The appraiser has to send me the appraisal roll when everything's ready to go.
Okay.
And has this sheet saying that they've transferred the roll to me. So I have received the real estate roll. I've already signed off on it. I got it last week. So I just need you guys to sign off on that. So I think it would just be moving to sign the transfer of real estate.
I'll make a motion that we sign, the commissioners sign the transfer and certification of the appraisal rolls for real property, which David's already signed his portion of. That's my motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Then I will get another one of these on the personal property, but I did not have it yet when I was getting this ready the other day, so. We also have the,
Is it the same? Do you need a motion for that one, personal properties?
well, when I get it from.
Oh, you don't need it?
Give me another
Okay.
Sheet like
All
that,
right.
and they transfer it. I will tell you, on the real estate or real property, we were up roughly $7 million from last year.
Okay.
So we won't have the state assessed until about the 1st of June. So it just depends on what it does, on where we come in, final valuation.
So the new bill was signed in, does that affect it this year?
It does. We are limited to the same amount of tax dollars as the previous year, regardless of what the mill levy is. It's tax dollars on this one. If you're gonna go over, you have to have an additional hearing with your budget hearing, and it has to occur at a later date. And then it sets everything back to like the 1st of October for any entities that do that before they have to certify to me, which is a nightmare.
Okay. He's looking at me because I testified for the bill.
But I can't imagine why we would need to go over the tax dollars for the county,
Right.
because I think we're in pretty good shape. I could see some of the cities and other entities going over.
So you're saying the same tax dollars as last year or what?
Yeah, I won't know till I get everything in, but I would be surprised if we needed to increase tax dollars. So even if our state assessed would stay even, we're up 7 million on locally assessed. To keep the same tax dollars, in that situation, our mill levy would go down.
Okay.
But state assessed has such a big effect on us, it's hard to tell till we get it in where we're gonna be. We have an interlocal agreement with the Regional Solid Waste Authority. This is something we've had since 1993. And this is just an update to their agreement. And I've looked through here, the only thing I found is they changed some dates. Meetings, the annual meeting will be in April instead of May. Financing, budget, accounts and audit, they changed from April to October on their budget, May to October on budget approval, and counties agree to act upon the annual budget or proposed budget no later than December 15th. So they did not change anything else in the agreement. They're just asking us to sign the updated agreement. And they would like to have 2 copies of this page signed by all the commissioners. So I think we would need a motion to approve the updated interlocal agreement with the Regional Solid Waste Authority.
I'll make that motion.
So,
Been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
so if you could all 3 sign both copies of that. And then I have the audit contract for our county audit. We have to have an additional specific federal audit done this year because of the spark funds we received last year. So on our normal part of our audit, the fees are less than 1% up from last year. It's $15,375 for the regular county audit. But then there is an additional estimated $3,000 for the audit of the federal funds received. Other than that, nothing changed in their contract, same kind of contract we've been doing with them before. So if you are prepared, we do have him scheduled to come, it's the 2nd week of June, so it's coming up pretty quick. I just need approval and the chair's signature on the audit contract.
So you know what, they come in audit.
Audit the,
Yeah.
all the
And
Sparks money.
And this year, they're gonna charge an additional 3,000 because of the Sparks money.
Yeah, anytime you go over, or if it's $500,000 in federal funds, or maybe it's, I don't remember the exact number, but there's a threshold. If you go over that in federal funds that you've received, you have to do an additional audit on those
the
funds.
yearly audit or the
Yeah.
yearly?
Well, it'll be one time, those funds.
Yeah, but I mean,
the rest
the rest of it is.
I'll make a
Are
motion.
you okay
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
with that company?
I'll make a
Bolton.
I'll make a motion that we go into contract with to approve the audit contract with Dale Banhart Bolton. And then does the signature have to be a second motion or can it be all?
No, I think you approve it and sign it today,
Okay.
that's fine.
You want second? Moved and seconded, that I be allowed to sign this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, I think that's what I had. You guys know of anything else?
Last call. Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye.